A letter was sealed inside the doorframe, and it was addressed to the future owner of the house. Kyle never thought he'd end up here, standing in front of a sagging Victorian on Ashwood Lane, with paint peeling like sunburned skin, and a porch that looked one strong wind away from collapse. But here he was, clipboard in hand, trying to convince himself this was a fresh start and not just another mistake. His daughter Jasmine stood beside him, her backpack hanging off one shoulder, eyes scanning the broken shutters and overgrown yard with the kind of careful neutrality only a 12-year-old who's learned not to complain can manage. "It's got good bones," Kyle said, more to himself than to her. Jasmine nodded slowly. "That's what you said about the last one." She wasn't wrong. 6 months ago, they'd tackled a craftsman bungalow on the east side, rotted subfloor, electrical that belonged in a museum, and a roof that leaked like a promise. But they'd finished it. Sold it even. And for 3 weeks after closing, Kyle had felt something he hadn't felt in the 2 years since Morgan died. Purpose. Then the silence came back. The house on Ashwood Lane was supposed to fix that. Another project. Another distraction, another chance to stay busy enough that he didn't have to think about the empty side of the bed or the way Jasmine had stopped talking about her mom because she thought it made him sad. "Come on," Kyle said, fishing the key from his pocket. "Let's see what we're working with." The inside was worse than the outside. Water damage had warped the hardwood in the living room. The kitchen cabinets hung at drunken angles. There was a smell, mildew and old dust and something faintly sweet that Kyle couldn't place. But the windows were tall and let in good light, and the staircase had this carved banister that must have been beautiful once. Jasmine wandered into what might have been a den, running her fingers along the built-in bookshelves. "Do you think anyone was happy here?" Kyle paused, hammer halfway out of his tool belt. It was the kind of question she asked sometimes. Quiet, probing, like she was trying to figure out if happiness was something that could exist in places, or if it only lived in people, and even then, only temporarily. "I think someone loved this house once," Kyle said carefully, "and maybe they will again." She nodded, satisfied with that, and disappeared upstairs. They started demo the next morning. Kyle had learned that the best way to approach a house like this was to strip it down to its skeleton, pull out everything broken, rotted, or hiding problems, and then build it back up piece by piece. It was methodical, honest work, the kind of thing that made sense when nothing else did. He'd just started pulling baseboards in the main bedroom when his crowbar hit something that didn't sound like wood. He frowned, angling his flashlight into the gap between the doorframe and the wall. There, wedged into the narrow space, was a metal box, small, flat, the kind you'd use for documents. Kyle worked it free carefully, the corroded latch resisting before finally giving way. Inside was a single envelope. The paper was thick, yellowed at the edges, but the ink was still clear. Neat handwriting, the kind you didn't see much anymore, and written across the front in careful block letters, "To the future owner of this house." Kyle sat on the dusty floor and opened it. The letter was dated March 14th, 1987. "Dear friend, if you're reading this, then this house has passed into your hands, and I hope it serves you as well as it served me. I've lived here for 32 years, raised 2 children within these walls, buried a husband, learned what it means to start over when you think there's nothing left to start with. I'm writing this because I know what it's like to buy a house that needs fixing. You're probably looking at peeling paint and crooked floors and wondering what you've gotten yourself into. You're probably tired. Maybe you're alone. Maybe you're trying to build something new out of something broken, and you're not sure if you have it in you. I want you to know you do." Kyle's throat tightened. This house has a spirit. I don't mean ghosts or anything like that, though Lord knows the pipes make enough noise to scare you half to death. I mean it has a way of teaching you things if you're willing to listen. It taught me that broken things can be made whole, That time doesn't heal wounds so much as it gives you space to learn how to carry them. That starting over doesn't mean forgetting, it means choosing to build something new without pretending the past didn't happen. There's one more thing I need to tell you, and it's the real reason I'm leaving this letter. In the attic, tucked behind the dormer on the east side, you'll find a box. Don't throw it away. Inside are letters, dozens of them, that I wrote but never sent. Letters to my husband after he died. Letters to my children when I didn't know how to say things out loud. Letters to myself on the days I thought I couldn't keep going. I'm leaving them here because maybe you need to know that other people have felt what you're feeling. That the weight you're carrying isn't something you're carrying alone. Take care of this house. It will take care of you. With hope, Eleanor Pritchard. Kyle read the letter 3 times. Then he climbed into the attic. The box was exactly where Eleanor said it would be. A battered cardboard thing held together with packing tape, shoved behind insulation and forgotten. He pulled it out carefully, brushing away cobwebs, and carried it downstairs. Jasmine was in the kitchen, prying loose a section of broken tile. She looked up when he came in, saw his face, and set down the chisel. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong," Kyle said, though his voice sounded strange even to himself. He sat at the makeshift workbench they'd set up, the box between them, and told her about the letter. She listened the way she always did, focused, thoughtful, her dark eyes serious. "Can we read them?" she asked quietly. Kyle hesitated. These were private things, intimate things, but Eleanor had left them deliberately. She'd wanted someone to find them. "Yeah," he said. "I think we can." The letters were everything Eleanor promised, and more. Some were short, just a few lines scrawled on notebook paper. Others were pages long, the handwriting shaky in places, steady in others. They chronicled years of grief, frustration, small victories, and hard-won peace. One letter, dated June 1978, was written to her husband 6 months after his death. "I'm angry at you today. Angry that you left me with a mortgage I can't afford and 2 kids who keep asking when you're coming home. Angry that you never got to see Danny graduate or teach Sarah how to drive. Angry that I have to figure out how to fix the water heater by myself because you were always the one who handled things like that. But I'm also grateful. Grateful that I got 20 years with you. Grateful that you taught me I was stronger than I thought. Grateful that loving you, even for too short a time, was the best thing I ever did. I'm learning to hold both things at once, the anger and the gratitude, the missing you and the moving forward. I don't know if that's what healing looks like, but it's the best I can do." Jasmine read that one twice, her finger tracing the words. Another letter was dated October 1983, written to Eleanor's daughter. "Sarah, my stubborn, beautiful girl. I know you're furious with me for not letting you go to that concert. I know you think I'm being unfair, that I don't trust you, that I don't understand what it's like to be 16. You're right, I don't. Not anymore. I was 16 once, but that was a lifetime ago, and the world was different then. What I do understand is this. I love you so much it terrifies me. Every time you walk out that door, I'm afraid something will happen and I won't be able to protect you. I'm afraid I'll fail you the way I'm afraid I failed your father by not noticing he was sick until it was too late. I'm writing this because I can't say it to your face without crying. I'm writing this because maybe someday you'll have a daughter of your own and you'll understand why I hold on so tight. I'm doing the best I can. I hope that's enough." Kyle's chest ached reading it. He thought about all the times he'd hovered over Jasmine, checking homework twice, asking if she was okay when she was clearly fine, texting her 3 times in a row if she didn't answer within 10 minutes. He thought about how she never complained, how she just said, "I'm fine, Dad," in that patient way that made him feel like he was failing her by worrying so much. There were letters to Eleanor herself, too. pep talks on days when the house felt like too much, reminders that she was capable, that she'd survived worse. Dear Eleanor, you fixed the porch today. You watched a YouTube video. Well, not YouTube. That doesn't exist yet. But you got a book from the library and you figured it out. It's not perfect, but it's solid. You did that. Remember this feeling. Remember that you're someone who figures things out. Keep going. And they read letters every evening for a week. During the day they worked, replacing drywall, sanding floors, patching the roof. But when the light faded and their muscles ached, they sat together in the empty living room and read Eleanor's words by the glow of a camping lantern. Kyle didn't talk much about Morgan. It had been 2 years, and he still didn't know how to explain what it felt like, the sudden, stupid way cancer had taken her. The way he'd been so sure modern medicine would save her right up until it didn't. The way Jasmine had held his hand at the funeral and whispered, "It's okay, Dad. We're going to be okay." Like she was the parent and he was the child. But reading Eleanor's letters made him feel less alone. She'd been angry, too. She'd been terrified. She'd made mistakes and second-guessed herself and wondered if she was doing it all wrong. And somehow, she'd kept going. Somehow, the house had held her together while she figured out how to hold herself together. One night, Jasmine set down a letter and looked at him. "Do you think Mom would want you to be happy?" The question caught him off guard. He opened his mouth, closed it, tried again. "Yeah," he said quietly, "I think she would." "Then why do you always look so sad?" Kyle's throat tightened. He set down the letter he'd been holding. "I don't mean to, kiddo. I miss her. And I don't know how to miss her and be happy at the same time." Jasmine was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Eleanor did." Kyle blinked. "What?" "In the letters. She missed her husband, but she was also happy sometimes. She talks about taking her kids to the beach and learning to make bread and planting flowers in the front yard. She was sad and happy at the same time." Kyle stared at his daughter, this 12-year-old girl who saw things so clearly, and felt something crack open in his chest. "You're right," he whispered. "You're absolutely right." The house started coming together after that. It was slow, meticulous work, but Kyle found himself enjoying it in a way he hadn't with the other projects. He stopped rushing, stopped treating it like something to get through, and started treating it like something to savor. Jasmine painted the bedroom walls a soft blue, her choice, and hung the curtains they'd found at a flea market. Kyle refinished the banister until it gleamed, the carved wood smooth under his hands. They replaced the broken windows, patched the plaster, brought the kitchen back to life. And every evening, they read more letters. Some were heartbreaking, some were funny, some were so ordinary. Grocery lists, reminders to pick up dry cleaning, that they felt sacred in their smallness. One letter, dated December 1985, stopped Kyle cold. "Dear future owner, if you're the one who finds this box, I want you to know something. You're braver than you think you are. I don't know your story. I don't know what brought you to this house, or what you're running from, or what you're hoping to build, but I know it takes courage to buy a broken thing and believe you can make it whole. That's what you're doing, isn't it? You're not just fixing a house. You're trying to fix yourself. Here's what I've learned. You can't fix yourself the way you fix a house. You can't strip yourself down and rebuild from scratch. You can't sand away the rough edges and paint over the scars and pretend they were never there. But you can make space for the broken parts. You can learn to carry them without letting them crush you. You can build something new that honors what you've lost without being defined by it. That's what this house taught me. I hope it teaches you the same." Kyle read the letter out loud, his voice breaking halfway through. When he finished, Jasmine leaned against his shoulder. "She's right," she said softly. "We're brave." Kyle wrapped an arm around her and nodded, not trusting himself to speak. 3 months later, the house was finished. The floors gleamed, the walls were smooth and bright. The porch no longer sagged and the shutters hung straight. It looked like a home, the kind of place someone could be happy. Kyle stood in the living room with Jasmine, surveying their work, and felt a strange mix of pride and sadness. This was the part where they were supposed to sell, move on to the next project, start over somewhere else. But he didn't want to. "What if we stayed?" Jasmine said quietly, as if reading his mind. Kyle looked at her. "Here?" She nodded. "I like it here. It feels safe." Kyle thought about the past 3 months, the way they'd laughed while painting the kitchen, the way Jasmine had started talking about Morgan again, small stories, happy memories, without looking at him like she was afraid he'd break, the way he'd woken up one morning and realized he hadn't cried in a week. "Yeah," he said, his voice thick. "I think we should stay." They moved in 2 weeks later. Kyle set up Eleanor's box of letters on a shelf in the living room, next to a photo of Morgan. It felt right, honoring both the past that shaped him and the past that shaped this house. One evening, as he was unpacking kitchen boxes, Jasmine called from upstairs, "Dad, come here!" He climbed the stairs to find her in the attic, holding a small frame he hadn't noticed before. Inside was a photo, black and white, edges worn, of a woman standing on the front porch. She was maybe 60, grey hair pulled back, wearing a floral dress and a tired smile. On the back, in the same neat handwriting as the letters, it said, "Eleanor Pritchard, 1986. Kyle stared at the photo. This was the woman who'd written those letters, who'd poured her heart into words she never sent, who'd left them here, in this house, like a message in a bottle for whoever needed to find them. "She looks kind," Jasmine said softly. "Yeah," Kyle said. "She does." He took the frame downstairs and set it next to the box of letters. That night, he wrote his own letter. "Dear Eleanor, I don't know if you're still out there somewhere, or if you're long gone. I don't know if you ever imagined someone like me finding your letters, but I wanted you to know they saved me. I came to this house broken. I thought if I could fix something, anything, I could prove to myself that I wasn't completely lost. I thought if I stayed busy enough, I wouldn't have to feel the weight of everything I'd lost. But your letters taught me something I didn't expect. You taught me that I don't have to choose between grief and joy, that I can honor my wife's memory while still building a future, that healing doesn't mean forgetting, it means learning to carry the past without letting it crush me. You were right. This house does have a spirit. It taught me the same things it taught you. My daughter and I are staying here. We're going to fill these rooms with life again. We're going to be happy here, not in spite of the pain we've carried, but because we've learned how to hold it alongside everything else. Thank you for leaving your words behind. Thank you for believing someone would need them. With gratitude, Kyle." He sealed the letter in an envelope and tucked it into the metal box in the doorframe, right where Eleanor had left hers. Someday, years from now, another person would find it. Someone broken, someone searching, someone trying to rebuild. And maybe Kyle's words would help them the way Eleanor's had helped him. Because that's what this house was, he realized. Not just walls and floors and windows. It was a place where people learned to heal, a place where the past and the future met, and where broken things, houses, hearts, lives, were made whole again. Kyle stood on the porch that evening, watching the sun set over Ashwood Lane. Jasmine sat beside him, sketching in her notebook, her pencil scratching softly against the paper. "Dad?" she said without looking up. "Yeah." "Do you think we're going to be okay?" Kyle smiled, the first real smile he'd felt in a long time. "Yeah, kiddo, I think we are." And for the first time since Morgan died, he believed it. If you're watching this, I'd love to know, Where are you watching from? And did this story make you feel something? Maybe it reminded you that healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about learning to carry it with grace. That broken things can be made whole. That the weight you're carrying doesn't have to be carried alone. If Kyle and Jasmine's story resonated with you, if Eleanor's letters reminded you of your own journey, or if you learned something about hope, second chances, or the courage it takes to rebuild, leave a comment and let me know. What lesson are you taking with you today? And if you want more stories like this, stories about ordinary people finding extraordinary grace in the midst of pain, hit that like button and subscribe. Because every house has a story, every heart has a history, and sometimes the most beautiful things are built from broken pieces. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one.